Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast, your home for all things Washington Commanders. We are in the full swing of training camp. Pads are back on. The fellas are out there knocking heads, and it sounds like it's going incredibly well so far, which is really exciting to see. Um, you know, as always, we want to thank you guys for being locked in with us, subscribing, consuming our content on any platform. We encourage you to, if you're not already subscribed, just go ahead and hit the button. It's free. And then tell your friends about us as well. All right, let's get started with training camp, and then we're going to talk about who's going to be on the final 53-man roster because, we got people in the building that kind of tell us some things, maybe. No promises, though. Eric, training camp, pads back on. What have you liked so far? What have you heard about that gets you excited? Tell me about it.
Yeah, look at my caption. We got a sleeper wide receiver on the roster, Mr. Bryson Tremaine, second-year guy out of Stanford. It's apparently been just letting people know what's up, and he is looking like he is making this team, and he looks like he might be an impact player. He's the big wide receiver that this team really doesn't have, not since the great Cam Sims. And I'm actually excited to see it because I'm hearing just a ton of good stuff coming out about how well he runs his routes, how physical he is, what a strong blocker he is, his special teams abilities, and he is really turning some heads in camp. So I love a good wide receiver story. So I'm all in on Bryson Tremaine right now.
Yeah, he seems like a coach's favorite wide receiver too, which is really going to help him. I guess for him too, it's like, is he going to contribute on special teams in some way? So time will tell. But I think that's pretty cool to hear. Mike, what about you? What's getting your juices going about training camp? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to hold y'all. It's cool. I'm not going to hold y'all. Brandon Coleman, it seems like he had a excellent day the first day in pads yesterday. Well, not yesterday, Tuesday. He had an excellent day. And I'm like, man, if we can somehow hit on him at left tackle, and that's the best part, it's happening at left tackle. He played guard in college, we all know that, but it seems like he's a legit NFL tackle so far based on reports coming out of camp. And if that's the case, then we're going to be pretty good in those two positions, the two strongest positions on offense, left tackle and quarterback. We could be pretty good for the next 4 seasons.
Yeah, and you got Cosme rounded into an all-pro guard. So you can solve a lot. Like if you solve the left tackle, you got an all-pro guard. We got with Biazic at center. We might actually have a little something that we can work with. And so I'm definitely super excited about that. For me, I'm not gonna say what I'm excited about. I'm just gonna mention that, I was listening to JP Finley and Mitchell. What's his name? Help me out, Mitch.
JP. The Beltway football.
Yeah. How can I forget Mitch Titzler? Yes, that's our guy. And they were saying that Jamin Davis is like getting like basically no reps at the linebacker position, and is only getting reps at defensive end, but really isn't making an impact. So, that's tough pill to take because he's so athletic. But it's just, what do you got, Mike?
I have an update on that. So okay. Dan Quinn this morning said that he will be practicing more linebacker over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. It looks like he's going to be doing the same exact thing that Frankie Louvu was doing, where they play linebacker but also line up on the line with their hand in the dirt to rest the passer, or drop back in coverage. Like, we don't know. And that's another thing that's getting my juices going, matter of fact. The versatility of the defense. Like, it's crazy the positions that they've been lining up at. And I know reporters can't talk about the schemes and whatnot, but if you put 2 and 2 together, you can tell that they're doing a lot on both sides of the ball. So, yeah. But as far as Jamin Davis goes, he's going to play some linebacker. He's not going to be exclusive at the edge this year, based on what Dan Quinn said on the August 1st.
Yeah, that's good, man. Thanks for the update there because I haven't had a chance to check today, admittedly. Then I will say my thing will then be that Derek Forrest is practicing with the third-team defense. That's also troubling me. That, and I haven't really heard Diami Brown's name called much, if at all, this offseason. So, yeah, I think those are some guys. We'll talk about them, though, because that's what we're going to get into next is the 53-man roster. And so a lot of critical decisions to be made there. But that's why we're here, right? We're here to have the hard conversation. So let's start with the easy aspects of this first. Eric, quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, Jeff Driscoll, Sam Hartman. Which ones are going to be on the actual 53-man roster?
Yeah, well, obviously Jaden and Marcus Mariota are going to be on there. I'm not 100% sure they even keep more than 2 quarterbacks on the active roster. I think you can stash Jeff Driscoll on the practice squad if you want. Sam Hartman, if they keep 3, I think Sam Hartman is the 3rd quarterback. But it's going to take, we're going to have to see a lot of him in the preseason to really make a call on that. So I'm going to tentatively pencil in Sam Hartman as QB3 with Jeff Driscoll on the practice squad, and that's going to be our QBs.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold that they're even keeping 3.
And they have that rule.
You can have the emergency third guy.
Yeah, you have your 3rd quarterback on the roster, right, on game day. So I think you're right. Man, it depends. Between Driscoll and Hartman, I don't know, because Driscoll's not giving you anything new, and you have a backup in Mariota if Jaden goes down. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I think it's experience. Like, you don't need that. Like, if they weren't keeping Mariota, I think Driscoll would be a shoo-in because you need that veteran presence, but you don't need 2 veteran presences on the roster. I think 1 vet quarterback is sufficient, and then if you've got 2 young guys, one that obviously is hopefully the future, and another who you're hoping can turn into a backup quarterback at some point. I just don't see why you can't. And again, Driscoll, I just don't think Driscoll's going to be in that high of a demand. I think Driscoll can make it back to the practice squad.
Yeah, what I need to check is, does Driscoll have any previous relationships with any of the coaches or the front office? He was in San Francisco in 2016. So there's always that nepotism aspect that might keep him around. But we'll see for sure. All right. Running backs, Mike, you're taking this one. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Jeremy McNichols. Are all 4 of those guys staying on the roster?
Yeah, at least. Honestly, it kind of depends on if they're going to keep 5 or 6 wide receivers or 4 tight ends. I feel like no, they're only going to keep 3. And based on what I'm saying, Rodriguez won't be the 3rd running back. I think they're going to go with the more seasoned and more familiarity with Jeremy McNichols.
Okay, going out on a limb. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you think Rodriguez will be a practice squad guy? Or is he
if he makes it, because it's not even a guarantee that he can make it, because it's not like he looked horrible last season. But yeah, I'm reading the tea leaves. I've been hearing his name a lot. I've been hearing McNichols a lot and not enough about Rodriguez. Now, personally speaking, based on what we saw last year and what we knew about him coming out of college, I wouldn't mind rocking with a 3-head monster of Robinson, Eckler, and Rodriguez. I feel like all 3 of them backs complement each other very well. But I guess McNichols is more of a scat back type. Not as big as Eckler and the other 2 running backs. But I don't know. Like I said, based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm hearing, Rodriguez is in danger.
So I think when they put the preseason work underway and they start practicing against other teams, I think Rodriguez is going to start to elevate his stock. I think he's just a pounded out guy that has to play against, real competition to show what he got. Nichols, yeah. I don't know. He's kind of been a journeyman. I think they can get him at any point in the season. So I'm going to disagree with your observation and say that I think it's Rodriguez over McNichols, but we'll see. Time will tell. Wide receiver wise, let's see. So there's a lot of guys on this list, but one thing I do want to note is that it sounds like Jahan's been struggling a little bit in camp too, which this is year 3 for Jahan. It sounds like he's been struggling a little bit with drops. And, he had a good day the other day from what I heard, but he has been plagued by drops throughout camp and just really getting open in a camp. So they're making his mark. hopefully he's turned that around, and we're going to get the Jahan that we saw for a stretch during his rookie year. But Eric, I'm going to give you the receivers. We got Terry McLaurin, Dyami Brown, Byron Pringle, Bryson Tremaine, Jahan Dotson, Zacchaeus, Tinsley, and Allen. We also have McCaffrey, Crowder, Davion Davis, and Marcus Rosemy-Jackson.
Yes, we've got quite the plethora of wide receivers, as they say. So obviously Terry McLaurin's making this team. Jahan Dotson, drops are not in camp. He's making the team. McCaffrey is making the team. That after those three, I don't think it really gets iffy at that point. I think Dyami Brown is still makes the team just based on he's got the skill. Yeah, at least happy about that. Dyami, I don't think he's, I think he's worth keeping around for another year just in a new offense to see what he can do. After that, my guy Bryson Tremaine, he's on the team. I don't care what y'all say. Bryson Tremaine's making the team. So that's 5. Now, do they keep 6 or 7? I think they keep 7 wide receivers on the roster because there's that much. But we start getting a little bit iffy on who, because there's a lot of guys with duplicate skill sets. And so do you keep Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder? I think those two are kind of redundant, and they just brought Byron Pringle. Both of those guys are punt returners. Both of those guys are reliable receivers who can get yards on third down. They can fill that slot receiver role. I'm going to go with the guy that they brought back, and I'm going to say Byron Pringle makes the team over Jamison Crowder. And my last slot, it's going to come down to Olamide Zacchaeus and Kaz Allen. And I think Kaz Allen, I'm only going off last preseason when he flamed out big time. We'll see what he does this preseason. But I'm going to go, again, the guy that they re-signed who's got a history with Dan Quinn and with offensive coordinator offensive consultant, whatever they are, Brian Johnson. So I'm going to go Olamide Zacchaeus as my last wide receiver on that roster. They're special teamers. Zacchaeus has been that guy his whole career. He can return in a pinch if he needs to. Has shown himself to be a somewhat reliable guy coming off the bench. So, yeah, I think Zacchaeus is wide receiver 7. So, Terry, Jahan, McCaffrey, Dyami, Pringle, Tremaine, Zacchaeus, and is that everybody? Because I already forgot. But, yeah, that's those are my wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree with you about Zacchaeus. I think he makes the roster. I think Dyami's in real hot water. They might keep Pringle and Crowder and let Dyami go. That might be the only.
I just think those two are that's kind of the same guy at this point.
Yeah, I dig it. I think Crowder's more of the true slot guy, and I think Pringle's kind of a burner downfield to try to get some deep balls in there. But we'll see. So it could be any of those combinations. You're absolutely right.
But if we're relying on either of those guys for heavy minutes, then we're in trouble anyway.
Something's gone terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to take the tight ends. Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, John Bates, and Cole Turner. I'm going to say they keep 3 out the gate. I think it's Ertz, Sinnott, and Bates. Bates has been blocking really well from all those that have listened. Look, Cole Turner he's good. We know the potential's there, but we just never seen it. It sounds like Sinnott's been struggling a little bit in camp so far, which, again, folks, when you're talking about rookie tight ends, you have to expect that, except for your Laportas and your McBrides and guys like that. It's going to happen. They're going to struggle. So I think Ertz is going to be a big-time factor early, with Bates as the de facto number 2 for blocking situations. And I think you're going to see Sinnott kind of sprinkled in early and then ramped up later in the season, which leaves Mike with the left tackle situation.
Sorry, quick question. Where does Armani Rogers stack up coming off the injury?
Yeah.
You think he has a shot at
No.
if they keep 4? No?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, if they keep 4, yes, it's between him and Turner, right? But I just don't know that Kingsbury's offense is going to dictate keeping 4 tight ends, especially if it costs you a receiver, right? Because you're in that spread formation so much that I think that you're going to need the extra receiver depth more than you're going to need the tight end depth. You know what I mean? So I think they're going to cheat that tight end spot out of one position. So, all right, Mike, left. I'm going to give you the left tackles, okay, and then I'll give Eric the guards. But we got Brandon Coleman, Cornelius Lucas, Braden Daniels, and Alex Akingbalu. How many of those guys are we keeping there?
Probably just the two. Well, no, I'm gonna say three. I think Coleman is a lock. Lucas is a lock, and I think Braden Daniels. He'll make the third tackle, kind of be a swing tackle if need be, just in case something happens. Well, no, I think I think Lucas will be the swing tackle if Coleman becomes the starter, and Braden Daniels will just be there, as the 10th offensive lineman, pretty much.
Did you say Wiley?
No, not Wiley. I'm just talking about the left tackles.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was half paying attention. You said left tackle. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Shutting up, sir.
Yeah, I think those three will make it, man. I feel confident. Well, no, let me not say that. Braden Daniels, I haven't been hearing much about him, but I like this tape coming out of college, and I think the coaching staff will like it too, and they'll be willing to invest in him.
Yeah. He's been playing a lot of guard at practice, from what I've heard. Eric, you got left guards: Nick Allegretti, Chris Paul, Ricky Stromberg, and Julian Good-Jones.
Yeah, I think I've got Allegretti and Chris Paul. Those are my guards. I know Braden Daniels has been playing over there. I don't see him making the team personally, but yeah. So for left guards. Specifically, it's definitely Allegretti is going to be your starter, and Chris Paul is going to be your backup. And then, if they need that third guy, they need somebody who can play center. I'm hearing a lot about Michael Dieter, as kind of a swing player that might be that flex offensive lineman on the interior. So maybe he sneaks in there as a quote unquote left guard or maybe somewhere else. But that's what I got on the left side.
Okay. Stromberg not in for you, huh? At least not as a guard.
He doesn't play. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't shown he can play guard. I mean, it's very hard to be a backup offensive lineman if you don't play multiple positions, and he just hasn't really shown that he can do it. Maybe he can. Maybe he's having a good camp, and I just haven't heard. I certainly liked him as a center coming out of college, but if you can't be the starting center, it's really hard to justify a roster spot as a one trick pony offensive lineman. You got to have versatility if you're playing backup O-line.
Okay. I'll take the centers, Tyler Biadasz, Ricky Stromberg, and Michael Dieter. So Stromberg's listed as a backup center too. I think you're right. I think Dieter's probably overtaken him as a backup, but then if he's also playing guard too, Dieter's got that swing guard position on lock, right? Yeah. So I'm going to say, given our issues with center, I think we might actually keep three, and maybe Stromberg gets a reprieve here. I'm going to say they keep all three of those guys on the roster. Right guard: Mike, Sam Cosmi, Dieter, and Mason Brooks.
I guess I'll go with Cosmi and Dieter, but it kind of, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, because I don't know with the numbers that they'll keep three guards. So I think your guards may end up being Cosmi, Allegretti, and Chris Paul. And yeah, so for the right guard, like I really think it only might be Cosmi on the team from that position. The other two may be adios.
Okay. Right tackle: Eric, Trent Scott, and Andrew Wiley.
Yeah, I think both make it. Wiley specifically can kick inside to play guard. Cornelius Lucas, of course, can play that swing tackle position. And Trent Scott, heard some good things about him in camp as well, that he's having a pretty solid run. You do need a lot of offensive linemen. I believe Trent Scott has played a little bit on the inside as well. So, yeah, I think there's a spot for both Wiley and Scott on the roster.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, hard to argue. We're going to keep both of those guys. Defense, here we go. We're going to go defensive edge rushers. And I'm going to give you these guys together, so be patient with me here. Mike: Dante Fowler Jr., Clelin Ferrell, KJ Henry. And then on the right side, we have Dorrance Armstrong, Andre Jones, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, and Jalen Harris. So you got the left and the right side. How many of those folks are we keeping?
I'm gonna say 5 because Obata may open the season on the PUP, but I think we have 3 locks with Armstrong, Fowler Jr., and Kellen Farrell. I'm sorry. That fourth one, I really like KJ Henry, man. I'm a huge KJ Henry fan, and just like you said with Rodriguez and the scrimmages with the Jets and Dolphins may do well for him. I think the actual preseason games may work out for KJ Henry. He may be more of a gamer than a practice player because I haven't been hearing his name as much during training camp, but during the season, he showed flashes. And again, with the new coaches we have, just like Braden Daniels, I expect them to see a lot in KJ Henry and want to work with him as well. And plus, he seems like he's one of their, he fits what they look for off the field as well. I remember seeing cutouts of him from Clemson and people talking about how great of a person that he was. So I think that bodes well for Henry as well. So yeah, I'll say 5, but only 4 will be on the initial 53 roster with Obata opening the season on PUP.
Okay. Man, no argument here. All right. Eric, let's go tackles, defensive tackles. Deron Payne, Jazon Newton, John Ridgeway, Benning Potea, John Allen, Fidarian Mathis, Haggai Nudabusi, and Norrell Pollard. Which one's you keeping? That's a hard group of names to say.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that job and not me because I just get to say the ones we're keeping. So obviously, John Allen, Deron Payne, Johnny Newton they're all in roster. Those are kind of no brainers. I think John Ridgeway also makes it, and that might be it for defensive tackles. Honestly, Patoe, I apologize if I'm butchering his name, did have a couple of flashes last season, so I could maybe see a roster spot opening up there, like if they like that. But I mean, I think 4 defensive tackles rotating is a pretty solid rotation, and you've got ends that can come inside, right? Like you've got Dorrance Armstrong who can kick inside. You've got Clelin Ferrell who in the past has kicked inside a little bit to play those small defensive tackles. So you've got that position flex. Sorry, Ron, among some of those guys. So I think you keep 4 defensive tackles: John Allen, Deron Payne, Johnny Newton, and John Ridgeway.
Okay.
So Mike's going to correct me.
No, I'm not going to correct you. I'm actually going to strengthen your case. Because I know there's a lot of folks that are saying, man, you can't cut Fidarian Mathis. He's a 3rd-year, second-round pick. Well, I'm like, why the heck can't you cut him? What has he done but stay off the field? The best ability is availability, and he sucked at that. Yeah. Even if he is a great defensive tackle, what's good is it if you're not going to be here? Plus, the same thing with that you said about the defensive ends that could kick inside. I believe that Jerzon, a.k.a. Johnny, and Allen can kick outside too and be defensive ends. So Mathis really isn't needed.
Right.
Yep, I would agree.
All right, so let's go linebackers. Mr. Mathis isn't needed. We got Frankie Louvu. We got Anthony Pittman, Bo Bauer. We got Bobby Wagner, Jordan McGee. We got Michael Walker. We got Jamin Davis and Keandre Jones. Mike, which one of those, or I guess which of those are we keeping?
So, I'm not sure if they're going to keep 5 linebackers or only roll with the 4 that we all think that are locks, and that's Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis, and Jordan McGee. Will Pittman be a 5th linebacker, or even Michael Walker? Will one of those 2 become a 5th linebacker? Gun in my head, I'm going to say no, because they have safeties that can play that Buffalo nickel with Chen and Quan Martin and Forrest. Like, that's 3 safeties that can play, quote unquote, some pseudo linebacker position. So I don't think they keep 5. I think they just roll with the 4. And again, that's Frankie, Bobby, Jamin, and Jordan.
I'm gonna disagree with you and say I think that Michael Walker makes the roster. It sounds like he's having a really strong camp, so I'm not taking anybody off your list. I'm just adding Walker to it because I think he would probably.
Well, I'm gonna add Pittman too because I think all of them make it.
Oh,
especially if they only keep 8 defensive linemen like we got them, or 8 or 9 defensive linemen, they probably will keep extra linebackers. And I think all those guys, you can justify a roster spot. The one I think that's on the shakiest ground, honestly, is Jamin Davis. And I could see Jamin even getting traded if they really can't find a spot for him. I'm still of the opinion that they're just rotating him. They're teaching him edge rusher, but he's going to play linebacker. He's too talented to just give up on like that, in my opinion. So, and he wasn't terrible at linebacker anyway. So, but I think 6 linebackers is completely in scope.
Yeah, Jeremy can go to a 3-4 team and do something there. I could see that too. All right, Eric, this is going to get a little bit more difficult. We're going to talk cornerbacks. We got Emmanuel Forbes, Michael Davis, Takreek Castro Fields, and Chicozy Anuzium. Then you have St. Juice, Christian Holmes, James Pierre, and Igbanaghi.
You poor guy. Yeah. So I think Forbes, St. Juice, St. Restil, those guys all make the team. And Mike Davis, I think those are your 4. Those are your top 4 corners. And they will all probably see quite a bit of playing time if they're healthy this year. I see Castro Fields making the team. He's a solid special teamer, and he can play. He's come up. He can play. He's played both inside and outside on the defense, and I think he's got a spot on the team. And I also think that Igbanaghi will make this group as well. He's a guy that they had in Dallas. They brought him to Dallas. They traded for him, and then they brought him here. So Igbanaghi, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. I do think that is your last corner.
Okay.
So how many?
Former first round pick too. That was 6.
Okay. Mike, safeties: Jeremy Chin, Jeremy Reeves, Dominique Hampton, Tyler Owens, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, and Ben Nickel. Who you got?
Let me see. Who do I have? That's a good question. I have Jeremy Chin, Jeremy Reeves, Dominique Hampton, Derek Forrest, Percy Butler, and that's it. I just have those 5. I think they're only keeping 5 safeties. And honestly, you really can't say anything negative about any of these players, in my opinion. I feel like they all have either some upside or are playing at the top of their game right now. I can't wait to see that duo of Chin and Quan Martin, not only the players themselves, enhanced by the coaching of Joe Witt and Dan Quinn. So that safety duo is going to be crazy. I'm not going to panic with Forrest playing on the 3rd team. Like, he can't. If they're running Butler, Martin, and Chin a lot with the 1st and 2nd team defenses, there's no space for Forrest to play on the 3rd team. But we know that man can bring it. And if you think they're going to cut him, you're sadly mistaken, because he can play teams. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety. He can play nickelback. They're not going to cut a player that versatile. So, yeah, I'm going to roll with those 5. Percy Butler. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Give me your 5 again.
Percy Butler, Forrest, Chin, Martin, and Reeves.
Okay.
So that's 5.
I wanted to make sure.
Oh, and the rookie, Dominique Hampton.
Okay.
I think.
I didn't.
Yeah, and Hampton.
I didn't hear you
6.
say Reeves the first time around, and I was going to have to correct. But yeah.
Nah, he was the second name I said.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And I'm going to take special teams. I'm going to say Riley Patterson wins the kicking job because Ramirez Ahmed is Ramirez Ahmed. Our punter will be Tressway. I think the punt returner. I think Crowder's going to be the punt returner. And I think our kick returner will be Mike Sanristril or Jeremy Nichols, one of those 2, depending on where they keep. And then our long snapper will be Tyler Ott. And that, my friends, would be our final roster. I think we probably kept 74 players.
Did anybody keep track of how many we kept?
Not on offense. I think we did better on defense, but on offense, I did not. But
no, I think we're good. Because I did a mock 53, and most of the names y'all said are on there. Maybe we hit 55 or 56 with the Obata injuries and stuff like that, but I don't think it's 74.
And folks, we'll clean this up right before player cut day. We'll do a new version of this after the preseason with our perspectives on that. Eric, any final thoughts on the 53-man roster at this point in the offseason?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Jamin Davis and Derek Forrest. Those are the two guys that I'm really watching. Again, I'm of the opinion that Davis will be on the roster, but I'm not maybe as 100% certain as I was a couple of weeks ago that he'll be on the roster. So we'll see what happens. I just hate to see anybody give up on talent. He's extremely talented. He just hasn't quite put it all together yet. Was hoping he'd get that chance with some good coaching. So hopefully that still happens.
I like it. Mike, final thoughts on the roster?
I think I had said something similar when Rivera was first hired, and saying that it's good to actually have to make tough decisions with the 53-man roster, but that was kind of fool's gold. And I'm trying not to say the same thing again about Quinn's first season, but I think the roster will be much better than it looks initially because of the coaching. I think compared to Rivera, this coaching staff is streets ahead for anybody that watches Community. It's streets ahead, it's miles ahead. If they do cut your favorite player, trust me, you want to trust them more than you trust your feelings.
I like it. So my take is there's still a long way to go. A lot of jobs to be won, right? Like nothing is written in stone except for St. Juice's hands. Get it? Stone hands. But anyway, there's still a lot of opportunity and a lot of jobs to be won out there. So this is just a prediction at this point. And I guarantee you there's going to be some differences when we come back and do this closer to cut down day. So we'll see. It's early. And you know what? Good luck to all the guys out there that are competing their tails off for their dreams. We hope all of them land somewhere in the NFL. But for now, go Commanders. We are finished. Commanders Declassified. We're out of here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And actually, I appreciate everybody on Spotify leaving us comments. I was uploading the last episode. I saw a bunch of comments on Spotify, and I'm sorry I didn't even know they were there. But they were from going back probably 8 months and forward. So I try to respond to some of those, but thank you for everybody that checks us out on the audio platform, as well as YouTube, Amazon, and any other place you consume podcasts. Commanders Declassified, we're gone.